Welcome back, guys. In this video I'm gonna show you just some of the possibilities that you can do with a whole chicken in the kitchen. I've already shown you how to break down a whole chicken in my last video, so it's time to cook something from each one of its parts. Today we're gonna go on a culinary road trip around the globe, so join me as I try to make something delicious from 4 continents using only one chicken. Let's roll! Okay, I start with the most controversial part of the chicken, and that's the back of it. People usually just discard this part, but that is crazy, because there is the flavor in the bones and the intermuscular fat, so today I'm gonna show you how to use only the back of the chicken to make a flavorful, European-inspired chicken noodle soup out of it. So here's the back of the bird, and what I like to do is to submerge the whole thing in cold water, then bring it to a boil on medium heat. I use the wings as well because 2 wings on its own are not enough for a single dish. Once it's reached the boiling point, you need to simmer it for 2 or 3 minutes. At this point you may find these ugly protein pieces in the water together with floating greyish foam, so it's time to discard all of the water and wash the chicken thoroughly under running water. When I've done with that, I pour clean cold water again in the pot up to the top to get the chicken submerged again. I do this step because it results in nice, clear broth at the end, but it's not really necessary, it's just me, you know, I like my soup when it's nice and clear. So after that I bring the whole thing to a light simmer and cook it for about an hour on very low heat. In the meantime, some foam develops on the surface of the soup together with some precipitated proteins again, so at this point I like to use my kitchen strainer spoon to remove all that nasty parts from the soup. You should make this process several times during the simmering, depends on the chicken you use. Meanwhile, I have time to prepare my veggies for the soup, and in Europe people like to use root vegetable for the soup usually, so that's what I will do now as well. So I have a medium-sized turnip, 2 medium-sized carrots, 1 large onion, a small fist-sized cut of celeriac, and the same amount of kohlrabi, and optionally some garlic and maybe kale if you want. I remove all the skin from the veggies with my peeler or with my knife, except the onion, because I would like to use the skin of it in order to give its color as well to the soup. After that I cut them into smaller pieces, but I don't go crazy, just cut them in half maybe, that's good enough to fit in the pot. When I've done with all the preparation, I just throw everything in the pot and continue to simmer on low heat for 30 minutes more. I also like to add half teaspoon of whole peppercorns and 2 tablespoons of salt to the soup at this time. After 30 minutes the veggies are also done, so it's time to taste and add more salt if you find it necessary. Mine is just fine like this, so I cook my noodles in a lightly salty water, then I drain it and rinse with cold water as well. You can use any type of noodles in this recipe, but Europeans tend to use egg noodles usually, so I do the same thing, and I choose this super thin one this time. For this noodle I only need 1 minute of cooking in boiling water, so it's super easy and handy. After that, there's nothing left to do, just plating it. And this is how people in Europe like their noodle soup. I take out everything from the soup and I put them in a large plate. We got some veggies over here and also the cooked meat. I serve the broth with the noodles separately and garnish with some freshly chopped fat leaf, Italian parsley. People usually just share that and put anything in their soup what they want from that plate. Take a little bit of meat, get some carrots, turnips and whatever. This dish is really something made to be shared with your loved ones. Homestyle cooking at its best. Alright, this soup was hearty and delicious, but I move on and make something from the legs as well. We are going to Nigeria, Africa this time, and I'm gonna show you how to make the best Nigerian chicken stew. Okay, I only have 2 chicken legs, but it's more than enough to feed 2. So let's make the stew. For start I like to cut 1 or 2 bell peppers in half and 2 medium-sized tomatoes as well. Okay, watch close cause I'm gonna show you how to remove the stem and the seeds easily. Push the whole thing inside the bell pepper, then pull it out and that's it. No waste. I brush some olive oil on a baking tray, then I place the veggies in there, cut side down. I wanna add 2 cloves of garlic and cook them at 400 Fahrenheit or 200 Celsius for 30 minutes or until it's become nicely charred. Oh yeah, and I almost forget. I throw in 1 onion as well, cut it in half, cut side down again, and 30 minutes starts now. Until then I have time to prepare the chicken. As I said before, I use the legs, but I would like to cut them in half, therefore I can eat them more easily. At this point I season the meat with a teaspoon of salt, some freshly ground black pepper, teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of dried thyme, and 1 teaspoon of curry powder as well. This one is basically a mixture of curry leaves and dried turmeric. Then it's time for a good old massage. I wanna make sure to cover every single part of the meat with these aromatic spices. Then I get a white pot or a saucepan and add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and I start to fry them at medium heat until it gets some color like this. After I flip them and cook it until it gets golden brown on the other side as well. After that I put them on the side. By that time hopefully my veggies got ready, so now you can see there is a nice char on its surface, so it's time to smash them. So I throw them in my kitchen blender and blend it together with its own juices. And as you can see, it has a lot of it, by the way. So please use the juices, always. You don't want to get rid of the flavor, right? So just use it. Believe me, it's amazing. After that I cut 1 onion finely and start to cook it in the same saucepan where I fried my chicken. 5 minutes later I add the roasted veggie sauce to it together with the chicken and 2 teaspoons of ginger paste or an inch thick finely chopped fresh ginger and the juice from the meat. It's really important, guys, the juice from the meat. Then I season the stew with 2 bay leaves and the same spices I used for the chicken, so I add 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of curry powder, 1 teaspoon of thyme and salt and pepper to taste. Optionally you can add a cup of water or chicken stock to let the chicken sink in the sauce and then mix the whole thing thoroughly and let it simmer on low heat for 30 minutes or until the chicken becomes tender. If you find that the sauce is too thick, you can add some chicken stock to it anytime, or if your sauce is really thin, you need to boil it a little bit longer. I like to serve this meal with a generous amount of cooked white rice, and that's it. Guys, this is a true comfort food that warms your soul, so here you go. As you saw, I made 2 dishes enough to feed 2. But I still have the chicken breast, which I'm gonna use to make 2 more cheap and tasty meals next week. So make sure to subscribe or give this video a thumbs up, and I see you in the next one. Cheers!